Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to our weekly Zoom classroom meeting for Intermediate AutoCAD, CAD 117. This week we're covering Module 6, which is blocks in AutoCAD, and it's actually Chapter 9. This is, the book was updated and they changed the chapter for blocks in AutoCAD. And so if we look at the textbook, we're going to cover Chapter 6 here, Technical Drawing 101, Dimensioning Architectural Drawings. So students are to read through Chapter 6, and what we're going to go over is how dimensions are created on architectural drawings. We're going to look at drafting standards, guidelines for dimensioning, using AutoCAD dimensioning tools, and creating a dimension style for a architectural floor plan. So as we go through this, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. When we work with mechanical drawings, we're typically working in either inches or millimeters. There are often numbers with decimal points versus architectural drawings, which are going to be typically in feet and inches. We don't do very much metric here in the United States. And so as we look at these different projects, the author just talks about dimensions and determining dimensions on architectural drawings. And we've created a PowerPoint for that. And so I'm going to go through this and show the assignment, and then we'll segue into that. And so as we look at these architectural dimensioning guidelines, things like where the placement of the dimensions are. These are the things that our students need to be able to do as they start to understand more about the technical aspects of creating these drawings. And so it goes through the standards like placing dimensions on the outside of the exterior walls and where the locations of those dimensions are. And you can really tell more just by looking at how the dimension style is created. And so architectural ticks, the dimensions are above the dimension line, spacing 9/16 from the outside edge of the wall. And these are standards. They don't need to be exactly that, but if you're wondering, well, where is it? How should I set that up? This is how you do that. These are the standards. So as we go through and we take a look at that, the author goes through how to place leaders. They're using an architectural leader with kind of this leader style. And if we go into how to create these different leader styles, we can show you how to use a spline type leader. And then step by step, here's how you would go ahead and do that. Other information the author likes to include. But the main thing we want is this assignment sheet. And so the assignment sheet basically goes through and tells you how to create this architectural style. And then to set it up for architectural ticks, center marks. And then basically what they'll do is they'll work these tabs from left to right. And then we just basically set those up and save that as our architectural style. So that's the textbook reading. And then if we take a look and we backtrack, we can look at our next chapter on, let me refresh that because I've got a couple of them open. Chapter 24 goes through blocks in our AutoCAD book for comprehensive, AutoCAD comprehensive. So here's the lecture. We'll download that. And so as we look at architectural drawings, very similar, a lot of the same things that we just talked about. Where do these standards come from? Building information modeling, BIM is kind of the new thing. It's not that new anymore. It's been around for a good 10 years or more than that. But from a standpoint of BIM, we'll use a program called Revit for that. And it's also an Autodesk product. And it's just a more intelligent, smarter type of a program. And then as we look at things like how to dimension these drawings, things like the height and the stud placement with these leaders, the way they're set up. Drafting conventions, again, how do we want to set up and create those dimensions? Alignment of dimension text, and so these are aligned dimensions because they're aligned vertically, these are aligned horizontally. And then just some basic guidelines for how to create the dimensions. Dimensions are placed from the outside facing the frames of the exterior walls, placement of the dimensions for distances between the outside and interior walls. I think it's kind of difficult as we go through and we work with these to kind of look at the words and then translate it. So we want to be able to read the book and then take that information and apply it. And so these are much better as we start to get into how do we want to dimension our architectural drawings. And so typically we want to use architectural ticks, not arrowheads. And then that's our spacing between the dimensions. We use this leader style, which is a spline type of a style. And that's how we set that up with the multi-leader. And then just a basic summary. And then we get into our project. Project 6.1 is this architectural drawing for a guest cottage. And it just basically goes through it step by step, how to create this dimension style. Now, last week we went through and we drew up the floor plan. So then this week, the idea is to apply the architectural dimension style and dimension the object. And so that's the lecture for that part of the module. And then if we come back here to our main splash page, working with blocks. This is also needed to do to complete this assignment. I'm going to download this and I'll open it, make it a little bit bigger. So blocks are important as a way to insert different components like plumbing fixtures, electrical features. So when you look at things like doors, fans, we will go through and create these blocks. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So you'll create these different blocks as shown, and then you'll insert them into the drawing as shown here. You'll apply those dimensions as we talked about in the last PowerPoint, just in the video today. You'll create these objects here, like the bathtub. You'll create a block out of that, and then you'll insert that into the drawing along with the vanity. And then the electrical symbols as well. Add the wiring with these line types, these other symbols. And that's basically it. So if we backtrack to our main splash page, tonight's assignment is to complete this drawing as shown here. If we look at the finished drawing, your drawing will look like this once you're complete. You can download the architectural title block or pick up actually what we want to do is use the drawing from last week that we already have, the floor plan, and then add the dimensions for the green object shown here, and then the symbols as blocks. All right, so switching back here, that's basically it. And in keeping with a short meeting for tonight, I'm going to open it up for questions and end this recording.